All right. Well, welcome back to Note Wholesaling Blueprint. And this is session number 4. And what I want to share with everybody in this next session, I want to first off thank everybody for the amount of time that they're spending here today with us, and the amount of I know that you guys are taking time away from family and friends and loved ones and all that, but more importantly, we hope that you'll walk away today with some ideas that you can use in your business to help grow your business. And I also want to thank all of those people that are signing up for our Inner Circle family. And we're excited about what the next year is going to hold for each and every one of you. And it actually starts next week, next Wednesday. So we're going to be doing some live webinars with each and every one of you, and you'll be getting your links and all that other kind of fun stuff here shortly. So we want to thank everybody that's been signing up on that level as well. So let's dive into just, let me see here what I want to cover here right now. Okay, so one of the things that is always important to understand is opportunity cost. Okay, and you've heard me talk about that a couple of times in our call today, and it's critical to understand your overall opportunity cost in any business. In the last video, I talked to you briefly about opportunity cost, and people often ask me the question, Troy, how is it that you're able to find deals on a regular basis? How is it that you're able to do the business on a regular basis? Well, and number one is I've been doing it for 21 years. So doing it for 21 years is very different than if you're at the starting phases of the business. But I was also grateful that I worked with Danny in the very beginning of the business, because he had over 700 notes in his inventory. So literally, I was going to his office a couple times a week to learn the business firsthand from him. I didn't have to go out anyplace else. They didn't have YouTube videos. They didn't have all of these other media sources that you could tap into to learn the business. You actually had to learn it from an expert. You actually had to spend time with somebody who was creating notes or had created notes or had inventory of notes that they had created. So, and that's how you learn the business. We kind of got away from that as an industry. No real reason why we got away from it. We just kind of got away from it. And there became these conglomerates or these educational platforms and stuff that we all participated in. And that missing element, that missing link on all of those platforms was that one-on-one time and that one-on-one interaction, or that time to help people overcome challenges that were standing in their way of creating success. And that wasn't done intentionally, and it certainly wasn't done with malicious intent. It was just a byproduct of what we've learned over the years. It's just something that we've learned about the business of education and seminars and webinars and all these other things. And because we've learned it, or I've learned it anyways, we're going to get better at doing things differently that ultimately caters to people and their success versus just selling a course or a training. Because here's what ultimately was happening behind the scenes. And people would come along and they would take a course or a training or a webinar, and I see this not only in the note space, but I see it in the brick and mortar space, the fix and flip space. Oftentimes I'm connected with several LinkedIn groups, and I'm connected with several Facebook groups. And people will go on those groups and they'll say, hey, I'm looking to get started in the wholesaling business, or the fix and flip business, or the rental business. Who should I go to? And you'll hear different comments from different people. But one of the consistent factors is go to YouTube, go read about it, go read this blog, go read that blog. And although those are catering to answering the question, they're also directing that person in a direction where he or she is going to have to spend an extraordinary amount of time to understand just the basic elements of that particular subject matter. And that same is true for any one of us. If I wanted to learn how to be a world-class chef, I could go on YouTube and I could read blogs and I could subscribe to Better Homes and Gardens, and I could pull up recipes and try and cook this and try and cook that, and it kind of reminds me of an event one time where I saw this one dish when we were on a cruise ship, and the gentleman made it was like a spicy red pepper shrimp, and he had all the ingredients out, and he had his pans, and he putting his shrimp in and his garlic and his oil, and he's putting some red pepper and I'm trying to remember all the ingredients. But he was sitting there walking people through the process. I thought, wow, I could make that when I got home. And so we arrived back home, and I said, sweetie, I'm going to treat you to an amazing dinner, and I'm going to cook this. I'm going to cook this dinner that we saw on the cruise ship. I'm going to cook it for us. We're going to have kind of like a little date night, just you and me, and the twins had gone to bed, and so I was like, this is going to be just us. And so I got busy cooking it, and I put all the ingredients in, and I got done, and we put it on the plate, and we started eating it, and literally our mouths were on fire. They were out of control on fire. And it was because I got too carried away with the hot peppers in the shrimp dish. And needless to say, neither one of us finished our meal, and we ended up actually me running out to get us some dinner, and so we could eat something that night. But it was one of those things where I stood there and I looked at it and I watched it, and I thought, okay, I can do this. And I used to be a line cook. When I was in high school, I was a cook. I was a prep cook, and then I became a line cook, and I cooked the American side of dishes, and I also cooked the Mexican side as well at a Mexican restaurant here in Mesa, Arizona. And so I had some background, and I looked at it, and I'm like, no problem. I got this, sweetie. This is going to be an amazing dinner. And it ended up being like one of the worst dinners I'd ever cooked in my entire life, all because I thought I could do it on my own. And had I maybe stood next to the chef and watched the chef and learned what the chef was actually doing in regards to the amount of ingredients and things of that nature that he was putting in there. Because mind you, I'm probably like 40 yards back, so I'm not physically seeing the exact amount, so I'm just kind of looking at it. I probably would have had a much better result. And that was a big time learning experience. And we wasted about $25 worth of food that night and tossed it out. Well, in the note business, that same thing happens in the note business. And it happens in a way where people waste not only their own time trying to figure things out, but they also do investments that cost them hard-earned money, and they lose that investment money. They also give guidance in areas where they need to get better in, so they can guide people, but they don't have anybody to turn to get that guiding information or to get that insight and that wisdom that they need in order to guide that person in a healthy fashion. So when I look at things like opportunity cost, and I'll share another quick story with you. So the other day I was there was a office building in New York, and I learned that it was for sale, and the price tag on it was $435 million. And I thought, okay, this is kind of neat. It's a little outside of my range, but I'll keep it on the back burner. Well, lo and behold, a couple hours later, I get an email from somebody that has a client over in China that's looking to buy U.S. real estate, and that's the type of stuff they're looking to buy. So I went and I called this particular ownership firm, and I wasn't prepared. Okay, 21 years later, I know better. Okay, I know better. And I got on the phone, and boom, I got right into the person who I think would oversee that property. And they got on the phone and like, yes, who am I talking to? I said, this is Troy Fullwood of Pinnacle Investments out of Phoenix, Arizona. I understand you've got a building for sale, and I have a client that might be interested in buying that building. And the guy says, okay, what's the building? And I was like, hold on. And I fumbled around for what seemed like an eternity. It was probably closer to a minute or so, trying to find the building because it was in an email. I couldn't find the email. I couldn't find the picture. I couldn't find the address. I couldn't even find the building on their website, which I just seen the building on their website. And so I finally figure out the email. I finally tell them the building address, and I was apologetic the entire time. I said, hey, I'm really sorry about this, but I misplaced it. Let me see if I can find this. And they were very polite and very professional about it. But in the end, I could tell that the tone in their voice was like, never again. And once I gave them the building address, they simply took it and they said, let us look into this and we'll be back with you. Which is basically, Troy, you've just lost the opportunity to do business with us because you didn't have everything set up and ready to go. I should have printed off the email. I should have written down the address. I should have done a lot of things that I know better to do that I didn't do, and ultimately the opportunity flew away. Now, am I going to give up on that deal? No, I'm not going to give up on it at all. I'll circle back, but I had to humble myself and take a step back and go, wow, 21 years later, I still make mistakes. This is something that should have rolled right off my tongue. It should have been a no-brainer, and it's a $435 million deal that could literally change the direction of our business and our family's financial future. And I dropped the ball. And so I have nobody to blame but myself. And I took a step back. I just let it kind of run its course, knowing that there's not a lot of $425 million property buyers out there. So I don't see it going in a short time frame. But I'll be back on it on Monday, and we'll approach it from a different angle. And that different angle is going to be talking to somebody different in the company, in the firm, and somebody that doesn't know me, and that will ultimately give me an opportunity to talk with them about it, because we do have a buyer for that type of product, and that's the exciting part about it. So you got here, kind of trying to stay on course here. Okay. All right, cool. So back to opportunity cost. And opportunity cost is and I want to put it in a fashion so that it's easy to, because we all do this, okay? We all do this. And that is, when people want to learn about something and they want to be a part of something, then they'll go out and they'll start putting the time and the energy to learn about it. But all that time that they're putting into it is time that could be spent actually doing the business. And like the post that I mentioned, hey, go and get free advice, go and do this, go and do that. Well, even on my best days, even giving out the nuggets that I give out and the instructions that I give out, oftentimes they're incomplete in regards to application process because every scenario is different. So because every scenario is different, I can only speak to so many scenarios in a period of time, whether that's a 5-hour class or whether that's a 50-minute class. There's only so much I can cover. And that same thing is true with everybody, with everything. And although I think there's a lot of great intentions, I think there's a lot of amazing information out there, how you go about applying that and learning that to monetize that is where the rubber really meets the road for anybody wanting to succeed in any area. And that's a challenging thing. So I want to share with you guys one of the things that that can be really helpful in finding deals. And let me see here. So I'm just going to share with you right up front. Here's a great website that you can go to and immediately find performing notes. You can also find non-performing notes. Now, you guys have seen me post this before, and so some of you have, some of you may not have. But at the end of the day, this particular site has deals that you or me can go and look for notes on. Now I'm going to pull up here, and I just did loan type all, and I could minimize it, but as far as the first lien, second liens. But when I'm scrolling through a site like this, one of the things I'm looking for are deals that make financial sense. Okay? Now, what makes financial sense? Well, your discounts make financial sense. Now, like first off, I don't buy second liens. Okay, I don't like second liens. I don't buy second liens, so I don't even look at second liens. But let's go ahead and just look at like first liens. Like here's one right here. Looks like it's Las Vegas, Nevada. They want 95% of unpaid principal balance, which is they want $89,484 on a $94,194 at a 5% interest rate. So right out of the gate, looking at that, I know that there's no way I can make money on that, and neither can you. Now, why am I sharing this with you? Well, one, because I don't want you to waste time on deals that don't make you money. And there, unfortunately, are deals out there that won't make you money and they won't make me money because of what the seller has done. Like I said, you can't reverse engineer it. You can't wipe out what the seller did. In this particular case, it looks like they created a note or a first lien note, and it's $94,000, but it's at a 5% interest rate, which is just barely above, about 1% above what the current lending rates are. And they want 95% of that. Well, even if you were trying to take a modest fee of, say, 4%, that would put it at 99% on a deal that probably has less than ideal credit. Most seller financing deals are typically 640 and below. That's the majority of them. You will on occasion see things north of 640, and you will even see them north of 700. But that's more the exception to the rule and not the majority. So this particular one, first lien, I would immediately pass on that. Seller's expectations are above what I can do for them. So thank you very much. Let's go to the next one. Next one here out of Kinso, Wyoming, or Wisconsin. They're looking for 62.5% UPB, $40,000 on a $64,000 principal balance at a 5% interest rate. This is something that you could actually put together for a couple of reasons. Number one, it's a performing first lien. Original balance was 110, current balance is 64, and note rate's 5%. So the asking price is 62.5% UPB. You could easily put this under contract for 62.5% and ultimately turn around and sell it for probably 70% with decent credit and even at a 5% rate. Now, I don't have all the terms, so we can't actually mathematically compute that out. But when I look at the principal balance and I look at the original balance, it appears to have a lot of seasoning on it, number one, which means it's got equity, number two. Number three, the seller's asking price is very reasonable and very in line with a note of this nature. And it's actually below what a note of this nature would trade at. And the rate being 5%, although not the ideal situation, it's certainly a workable situation. So right there is one for the masses as a whole. Now we scroll down here a little bit further. Here's one out of Lockport, New York. This one here is, once again, 5.5%, $49,000, almost $50,000, 49.947. They want 90%. There's no way this is going to trade at a 90% level. It just won't. And it won't for any other reason than the fact that the numbers won't calculate themselves out. And there's no money in the deal for you. Okay? Why am I showing these types of things to you? Because I want you to be able to determine when you're looking at deals whether or not you can make money or not make money. If you can make money, then put your time and energy into that deal. If you can't make money, then don't put any time and energy into that and move on. Okay? That's business 101. There are a lot of things that business owners deal with every single day, and it centers around the value of their time and whether or not that effort is going to earn them some kind of return. Now, sometimes it's management stuff and you just have to do the management stuff. But when it comes down to customers and revenue, every single business, whether it's retail, brick and mortar, real estate investor, they all have the same prerequisite. Can I make money on this particular deal? Same thing with brick and mortar people. If you ask any of them, they don't like to pay over 65 to 70% of after repaired value for a house. Why? Because they understand that that's their margin in order for them to turn a profit for their time. If somebody's asking 75, 80% after repaired value on a house, they're 9 times out of 10 just going to simply pass on it because there's no profit in there. There's no money in the deal for them to do that. And so they move on to the next one. And I share this with you because oftentimes people will ask me, well, Troy, what can we do? Can we change something? Can we do this? Can we do that? And the answer is not, you can't really do much. If that's their asking price, you can certainly submit a lower offer. But their starting point is 90%. So if you come in at 88 or 87, and in this case, you're probably going to have to be closer to about 77 on a deal of this nature. You're way, way off from what this seller's minimum asking price is. And that's okay. That's okay. We're not going to get every single deal. That's just a fact. Okay? That's just a fact. The goal in the business, is to create lead sources or opportunities coming into what I would call your pipeline, and then decide very quickly which of those leads can you turn into some kind of payday, and which ones will never amount to any kind of payday. So that way you're not spending time on something that's ultimately going to be fruitless at the end of the day. So that's the important part. Sorry, I had to look at my schedule there. And trust me, I have to do the same thing. Why do I do the same thing? Well, because I've learned over the years, you can't force anybody into doing something they don't want to do. And you can talk until you're blue in the face, and if they don't see the opportunity for themselves, they're not going to move and they're not going to budge off of it. Now, what I have learned as well is that in this particular case, let's look at this one here at 90%. What I have learned as well, like any other thing in business, is if they put it out there and they don't get any traction, or they don't get any responses, or they don't get any offers, eventually they'll lower their price. Or maybe some people have made some offers and they'll go back to those people and maybe negotiate with them. That same thing is true in real estate. You see it all the time. People put houses on the market. They price their house at $300,000. The house sits on the market for 1 month, 2 months, 3 months, 4 months, 5 months, 6 months, 7 months, 8 months, and nobody has any interest in it. They have a couple open houses. People come through. They make a couple offers. The offers don't ever pan out. And ultimately, they're looking at going, okay, I want to sell my house. I've done all these things. I've hired a realtor. I've got the title company teed up. I've cleaned up my house. I've mowed my yard. I've done all of those things, and now nobody wants to buy it. And oftentimes, it doesn't have anything to do with the quality of the property. It oftentimes has to do with the price point of the property in comparison to the surrounding neighborhood. So if somebody's asking $300,000 and the houses in the neighborhood are selling for $260,000, then they're above market pricing. Well, we have market pricing as well in the note business. In the note business, we're typically buying first lien performing notes anywhere between 70 and about 88 to 90%, sometimes 92. But I can tell you, going above 90 on any first lien performing note is really the exception. I would say that it happens less than 2% of the time. So you've got a very, very small margin of success when it comes to that. The majority of seller financing deals are done between that 68 to 82, 83% is really kind of the sweet spot for the majority of them. Okay? And why is that? Well, because you keep in mind that the seller financing side of it is higher risk. Okay? It's higher risk. These are people that are not institutional quality buyers. In other words, their credit doesn't support institutional financing. Their down payment doesn't support it. The fact that they haven't done tax returns doesn't support it. The fact that they're self-employed and they don't have P&Ls and things like that, it doesn't support it. So for some reason or another, they cannot make it in the area of what they call institutional financing. So they come looking for this. Now, to us, that's a golden opportunity. But when you get to the side of the investor and you're wearing the investor hat, you have to understand that there's still risk with the fact that they just helped this person get their first home, move into a home, and do all of those things. So the numbers are imperative across the board. As we scroll down here, so you got this one here looking for 90. Let me see where other, here's one, Beaumont, Texas. This person's at an 8% interest rate, and they want $107,000 for the note. The note balance is $107,000, and they want 100% of UPB. Now they can ask whatever they want for it, but that doesn't mean they're going to get it. Here's one right below it, out of Georgia, second lien, 30,783, 100% UPB. That's what they're asking for it. That doesn't mean they're going to get it. Here's one right here, minimum asking price, 118,000, 146% of UPB. Okay, right here, principal balance is $80,000. The note rate is 10%, and this is a second lien in bankruptcy, and they want 146% of the UPB. Now, my conversation with somebody like that that's looking for that type of a price point is, why would I pay you 146%? Why would I pay you anything over par for it? And oftentimes the answer I get with those types of sellers is really simple. They're like, well, you know, you're going to collect the interest on this, and so that would warrant paying me more money. Well, my response to that is, there's no guarantee I'm going to collect the interest on this. I could buy this note today, and in 3 months, the seller, or the property borrower, the borrower comes to me and says, hey, we're refinancing our house. We need a payoff. And at a 10% interest rate, they'd be motivated to refinance their house, which means any and all future interest payments that I would get out of that deal go away. And hence, I get nothing. And once I have those types of conversations with sellers, it, how do you say, sheds light on what they really have for sale. And this is what I mean by the lack of education when it comes to the seller's market and when they're putting deals together, and the idea that they have, or they do or don't have, about the value of what they're selling is oftentimes they don't know what they don't know. And that doesn't make it right or wrong. It just means they don't know what they don't know. And so we have the luxury of educating them about these types of things going forward. Let me see, here's one, performing, Toledo, Ohio, $18,000 on a $22,000 note. They want 83%. Would I go after this? No, I wouldn't go after it. And you may be asking, well, why not? Because there's not enough of a margin in there. You're talking $4,000 between 18 and 22. So there's not a lot of money in that particular deal. Oftentimes people will ask me, hey, Troy, do you buy notes below 50,000? And the answer is yes, as long as it makes sense. Well, this doesn't make sense. There's not enough of a spread in here for you to make money, and it's not enough of a spread in here for me to make sure that I've got the proper discount in place to protect my investment at the end of the day. Keep in mind, and this is something that oftentimes people don't talk about, and we can use this one as an example. You've got a $50,000 original balance, and let's just say the house was worth $50,400. If I buy this note for $18,000, and let's just say for hypothetical purposes, I buy it for $19,304. So I give you $1,000. So I'm into this deal for $19,304, and the house 5 months down the road goes into, they stop paying. So it goes into default. Now all of a sudden I've got to go the process, or through the process of foreclosing on that property. The only thing that I'm entitled to when I foreclose on a property is what is legally owed on the loan, meaning the balance of the loan, which would be, say, $22,000, the legal cost to foreclose, the accrued interest at whatever's written into the note. Most of the time it's maximum allowable by state law. Force-placed insurance, any back taxes that I might have to pay, title work, BPO, property inspections. Those are the things that I'm entitled to. So if I foreclose on this house and it sells at the sheriff's sale, and let's say it sells at the sheriff's sale for $40,000. Well, yes, I get the $40,000, but now I have to subtract my $22,000 plus my legal costs plus out of the $40,000, and whatever's left, I now have to give back to the other property or the former property owner by federal law. Okay? These are things that oftentimes people don't think about. These are things that oftentimes when people say, hey, you know what, you can foreclose on this and you can protect your money. Well, there's truth to that. I can foreclose on it, but I don't get the equity out of the property like investors think you do. Legally, you're not entitled to the equity. Legally, all you're entitled to is your unpaid principal balance, back interest, late fees, bounce check fees, legal costs, title work, BPO, forced placed insurance, things that are associated with the loan. You're legally allowed to recover your cost. And that's it. What you lose is your opportunity cost in that. Okay? So this is, and I'm sharing this with you because I want to encourage everybody to think along the lines of investor when they're doing the business. Although we're doing wholesaling notes and doing the wholesaling process, I also want you to understand the other side of it, which is ultimately the investment side of it. So when you get to the point of investing for yourself, you can do this as well. You can see that this site has a lot of first liens and stuff like that, or sorry, second liens. And here's another first lien. It's at 83%, kind of right there at 9.9%. So it's probably an 83, 85% note, given that unfortunately it looks like it's relatively new. So that would be, we'd want to see what the value of the property is before we jump on that. That would be important to know. This one here, we've got 100% on this first lien here. Here we got 70%. Okay, now we're dialing it in. This is a good one. It looks to initially a good one out of Pennsville, New Jersey. 70% of UPB, 14% interest rate on the note. 14%. For those of you attending today's class, there's some nuggets right here. I'm giving you deals on a silver platter right here. Right here. I've picked out 2 or 3 of them. They're right here in front of you. You know, what more could you ask for? That's a nice little deal. We got performing first, 100% performing first, 100% performing first, 84, 4%. No, I wouldn't touch that. And why wouldn't I touch that? Well, real simply, that 4% on a first lien note on 360 months, I'm talking maybe 60 cents on the dollar tops, and they're asking for 84. So just mathematically, I'm computing in my head, okay, 4%, if I'm looking for a 10% yield, you're talking maybe 60 cents, 60%, 50% right out of the gate. And here's why I'm sharing all this with you, because it streamlines your business. Okay, it gives you the opportunity to streamline your business. One of the most common elements to people, how do you say, stalling out in their business is they're not able to look at something and see it for what it is. And I'm not saying you're going to be able to do that right out of the gate, which is why everybody should be joining our inner circle, because we're going to help you strengthen your ability to see the opportunities and to avoid the time-wasting deals. I can't tell you the number of deals that I turned down. I just turned down one yesterday from an individual that sent it to me, and I looked at it, and it was a par pricing deal. I'm like, there's no way I can make any money, and there's no way that they can make any money on it. So it wasn't even worth the time to send it in the form of an email to me or anyone else, because there's no money in that. And that doesn't stop sellers from asking for whatever they want to ask for. That means that we're not necessarily going to pay it, or anybody else is going to pay it for that matter. Here's another one, 100%. Another one, 100%. Okay? There's some pretty lofty goals here. 100%, 100%, 100%, 102%. 102% on a 12% note. 100% on a 12.5% note. Okay? Some crazy, crazy stuff here. Now, why am I showing you this? Well, it's simple. Because when I showed you this earlier about working on the front end of things, okay, and you create the note, and then there's you, okay, and there's a house, okay. This is where you want to focus on. You want to focus on SIMOs. You want to focus on new deals. Okay? You want to focus on helping people grow their business. That's what you want to focus on. Why? No competition. You can manage their expectations. You can help them to create deals that make financial sense for both them, and they make financial sense for you. That's where you want to be. You want to be over here. Because guess what? All of this over here, it's not part of public information. It's not with a servicing company like FCI. It hasn't even been created, so nobody even knows about it. But what has been created is the relationship that you're with that person, so that you can in turn help them to build a better model to accomplish their goal. Just because all of these people are asking for this 100%, I guarantee you guys come back in 6 weeks and these things will still be there. Okay. Oftentimes what FCI does is they get deals in and they post them to the site, and they do it because they get a 1% broker fee, and they're not invested in whether it sells or not. Their marketing is, I'm going to post it and we're going to get a 1% fee, and great if it does, great if it doesn't. There's some nuggets, don't get me wrong, there's some nuggets, but even Kiyosaki, I remember talking to Kiyosaki, and we were chatting about some stuff. Even Kiyosaki says, Troy, I'll look at 100 properties before I buy one. I'll look at 100 properties before I buy one. I'm like, okay, I get it. Because he's looking for that one that that gets him the most value for his money. And that's what he's looking for. That's what every investor is looking for. That's what you should be looking for. But how do you do that? Well, you find that by going on the front side of things. Like I showed you with Craigslist earlier. When you look at the Craigslist model, and there was 2,500 houses for sale in the Maricopa County area, which is the Phoenix area, and over 1,000 of them were being sold with seller financing. Okay, over 1,000 of them. So you're talking about 40+% that is being sold with seller financing. So imagine if all you got was just, 3 of them. I mean, 3 of them is not even 3%. It's like 0.3% or 0.03 or something like that. It's not even a full percent out of that. 1% would be 10. So you're talking less than that, which is pretty amazing, because your average return, your average payout on a deal should be around 5% of the deal. So if it's a $100,000 deal, you should be making around $5,000 on that deal as a wholesaler. So using that model moving forward, how much money do you want to make? How big do you want your business to be? because it's the question is up to you to answer at the end of the day, because that's your goal, that's your dream. I talk to some people and they ultimately want to, they want to do 10 deals a month. I talk to some people, they want to do 1 deal a month. But more importantly, they don't ever have a plan on how to do the deal. They don't ever have the support on how to get the deal done. They don't have a game plan to make it happen. They're just like, I'm wishing, hoping, and praying that this is going to happen. And at the end of the day, it's like, okay, let's stop that. Let's not do that anymore. Let's focus in on making sure that you have a plan that actually is an actionable plan, a plan that you can actually carry out based on a person's time commitments, their financial commitments, and the efforts that they put into it. So that's an imperative model. That's an important model to understand in this business. And because of that, I want to invite you guys once again to participating with us in my Troy Fullwood's Inner Circle family. And I want to ask you a question. Do you want some help in building your business and taking it to the next level? And I asked that question whether you've done 1 deal or whether you've done 50 deals. It doesn't really matter to me, because at the end of the day, whatever your business is, we're going to get it to the next level. Because the number one thing I hear from people is, Troy, I want to learn how to do notes so that I can quit my job. I want to learn how to do notes so I can retire. I want to learn how to do notes so I can develop a passive income for my family. I want to learn how to do notes so I can accomplish this, so I can get my freedom back. Okay, not a problem. All of that is very, very obtainable in this industry. I often look at myself as a lifestyle investor. And as a lifestyle investor, we protect, or I protect, and the people that I know that are lifestyle investors, we protect our time, because we know that that's the most valuable asset that we have in creating success in our business or in life in general. And so we always figure out ways and systems in order to, 1, protect our time, but more importantly, produce the results that we're looking for in the goals that we're looking for. And that's what I want to share with all of you. I've been doing this for years. Now I'm up to about, I think, 19 people that are multi-millionaires from my teachings and from the things that I've shared with them. But I've also created well over 100 people that are successful and are active in the business nowadays. And my goal now is to raise the bar even on myself and to disrupt the industry and say, let's just focus in on doing deals. Let's just focus in on building businesses. Let's just focus in on scaling a business. Let's just focus in on dialing in our marketing. Let's focus in on learning the language. Let's focus in on learning what to say on the phone. Let's focus in on deals, whether they're what they call trash or treasure. Is this a good deal? Great, let's do it. If it's a bad deal, then let's get it off the plate so we can focus and go find more deals. That's what 2018 is all about. And this is the year I've set a goal to help 500 investors build $1 million business, which is $1 million in transactional history. When I got started in the business, we used to have this thing called a millionaire circle. And I got into that circle in 9 months. I was the fastest person to ever do it in the history of the American Cash Flow Association, which is no longer in business, which is kind of funny. And I was the fastest person to ever do it. And I did it in 9 months. And I can help you do the same thing, because the tools and the resources today are exponentially better than they were 21 years ago. As it is, my goodness gracious, you've got an evergreen lead system with Craigslist. And we didn't have that 21 years ago, okay? I question, I want you to be one of those investors. I want you to come join what we're doing. And we priced it in a fashion where it's so affordable at $13 a day. That's less than one meal a day on the average for anybody. And that gives everybody an opportunity to get in without having to pay some high ticket price into a $7, $8, $9, $10, $15, $20,000, $40,000 mastermind group. And the reason I did that is simple, is because the more I talked to people on the phone, it wasn't that people couldn't afford those types of masterminds. It's that they wanted to make sure that they were going to get the support that they needed to grow their business before they made that kind of an investment. So I said, well, why don't we reverse engineer this? Why don't we give them the support that they need before that type of opportunity exists itself, and help them get their business up and running. Granted, you've got to do the work. I'll give you the tools and resources to make it happen. We'll give you the support from our office to make it happen. But you still have to do the work. Okay? There's no ifs, ands, or buts. We're not going to do it for you, but we will definitely do it with you. And we're going to do that by doing live weekly calls every week. I'm getting on the phone with you, and we're going to talk about subject matters and topics that you can go out and you can implement that week, that you should immediately start to see results in your business. So we're going to be doing live weekly calls. We're going to be recording those calls and putting them into a membership site specifically for Inner Circle family members. Okay? We're going to be doing monthly marketing videos where I'm going to be behind the scenes breaking down marketing techniques that we're using in the form of emails and letters that we're using, mailings, working with title companies, all kinds of things that are available and readily available in the industry to help you expand your business. I'm also going to be doing live recorded calls. These live recorded calls are with sellers of notes, and I'm going to record the calls. Then I'm going to post the recording to the student site, and then I'm going to have the calls transcribed so that you can have them as a script. Now, if you're a reader, then the script's going to work great for you. If you're a listener and you like the audio version like I do, you're going to be able to listen to it and pick up on the things that are going to help increase and fine-tune your vocabulary for the business and for the industry, which is going to ultimately set you apart from any type of competition in the space so that you can close more deals. We're also going to do unlimited email support in between. We've set up a private Facebook page for each and every one of you to collaborate together, to communicate. We'll be in there posting some things. We'll be letting you guys know, hey guys, we just posted a new video on marketing, and go check it out. We just did this, we just did that. So we're going to be communicating a lot through social media with you, and you guys will be connected together like a family, The other thing that's great about it is that we're going to open ourselves up to doing JVs with Inner Circle family members. The other thing that we're going to be doing is if you come across a seller and you're not really quite sure what the seller's asking you, maybe we haven't covered that topic yet or anything of that nature, not a problem. You're going to get a VIP service where we'll schedule a time where you and I and the seller will get on the phone call together, and I'll close the seller on that deal for you, and you get to keep 100% of the profits from it. Okay? You want to send me a thank you card? I always love attitudes of gratitude. I appreciate those things, but you get the money. And I have no problem doing that as long as we've got deals that will produce a payday for you, and we'll identify that up front so that you're preserving your time. Okay? You hear what I'm saying over and over again today. It's all about the time. Okay? Warren Buffett often says, he says, out of all the things I can buy with my money in this world, the one thing I can never buy more of is time. And he's true. And so that's the importance of being around a group of like-minded people. That's the importance of being around people that are moving in the same direction that you are. That's the importance of being around people that understand what you're doing. Maybe some of you have already come across this where you're talking about notes and you're talking to a family member about it, and they think you're speaking of about a completely new language. And in their eyes, they're absolutely right. You are speaking a new language. And but if you're around like-minded people doing like-minded activities, creating like-minded results, now all of a sudden you've got an inner network that powerfully supports you and grows your business to the level that you want to grow. And when you hit milestones that you want to hit, you can reach back and help other people grow their business as well. And that's the power of it. So, we're talking, $13 a day. And we're talking a 30-day commitment, because you can cancel at any time. You can cancel at any time. We're not here to hold anybody hostage. That's not the goal here. If you find out you don't want to be a part of it, not a problem. You just send an email to Kim and she'll cancel out your membership. No questions asked. We hate to see you go. We don't want to see you go. But at the same time, we also understand that if you need to go for whatever the reason, you're not locked in. We're not here to take your money, but we're not going to do this for free for anybody. Why are we going to do it for free? Because I have value in what I'm doing, and I know that you see that, and that value comes with a dollar amount. We've already priced it in a way where it's incredibly affordable. Very, 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 very affordable. And we did that not to minimize the overall value of it, but that it would be affordable for people to come and learn the business and then start to grow their business. And as they created more revenue from their business, then they could invest in more resources at a higher level in their business. Just like I do. I see things of value that I need to add to my business, or I want to add to my business, and I've got to go turn the income to create it to go do that. Well, as an entrepreneur, I surround myself with like-minded people too. The only difference is that I'm paying $20,000 to $50,000 a year to be around high-level people because I'm scaling my business exponentially. You don't have to do that. You get the opportunity of being in a inner circle family with somebody like myself who's done $1.7 billion worth of transactional history, over 14,000 transactions. First distressed asset fund on Wall Street. I've spoken at Harvard. I've spoken at the New York Harvard Club. I've spoken at NASDAQ. I've spoken privately at the New York Stock Exchange. I'll be speaking at Coca-Cola later on here in a couple of months. So you're talking about somebody that's a leader in the industry. I've got 2 international best-selling books. I've got another book coming out next month that I know is going to be an international bestseller. So I'm taking all of that knowledge and wisdom and insightfulness, and I'm pouring it into the Inner Circle group for the sole purpose of helping people grow their business. We're not going to be focusing so much on trainings and programs and things of that nature this year, because we've already done that. We've already built out our trainings. Our trainings are up to date. They're great trainings. People are getting great results from them. And so those will just kind of remain in the background, and our focus will go to this. Come and join us. Come and join us at jointroyfullwood.com. Very simply go there. You're talking $13 a day. You can cancel at any time. There's no contract. You can come in, you can cancel, and do something else. I don't think you will cancel, because I think you're going to see the value you're getting far exceeds $13 a day, and we want the results that you're getting from that value to exceed $13 a day. But you've got to put in the energy. You've got to put in the effort to make that happen. And if you do, then you'll reap the rewards. You'll reap those paydays for yourself. So with that being said, go to jointroyfullwood.com and you'll see an opportunity to pick an opportunity to be inside the Inner Circle family. And with that, we'll leave that with you. I'm going to go ahead and close out this session, and we'll be back here shortly for the last session of the day. Bye now.